Now, is he using magic or not? Quick opinion, yes, he is. UFC fighter Alex Pereira claims to use magic. Or actually, the other fighter, his opponent, claimed that he's using dark magic or spiritual shamanism to win the fight. Now, if you don't know, Alex Pereira is a fighter that took UFC by storm. I think he's one of the quickest champions. He's a double division champion in the history of the UFC. One of the few that has achieved such a feat. And to be honest, he's insane. He has the most vicious power, the most vicious left hook in the history of the sport, if not in the history of all combat sports. And he's a very interesting guy because he came from a background of poverty and also addiction to alcohol, and he overcame that to become a kickboxing champion in 2 divisions as well, in Glory Kickboxing, which is the highest, most prestigious kickboxing promoting organization in the world. He transitioned to mixed martial arts and he became a superstar very quickly. And with him, he took his persona, I shouldn't call it persona, he took his faith to indigenous traditions from Amazon tribes in Brazil. And he wears the hat of the indigenous tribes from, I think, Huincui in Brazil. And he's shrouded in mysticism because he's stoic. He doesn't do trash talking. He obliterates his opponents. And those that provoke him with trash talking, they pay the price. And he's a firm believer that he's protected by his spirits. Now, his opponent, also a very spiritual man, always talking about the power of nature, the great spirit that surrounds us, the great spirit that is within and without us. He claims that Alex is using spirituality to win, spirituality in the fighting sport, spirituality in the octagon. Now that's crazy. Why? Because, taboo topic. We can talk about religion, but when we talk about spirituality, you know for sure that we're touching on topics like voodoo, we're touching on topics like magic, we're touching on topics like the unseeable, the spirit behind the flesh and the bone that we are. So this is crazy stuff. He's being very successful, and every single time he stood by his beliefs and his spirituality according to the indigenous tribes of the Amazon. Now, is he using magic or not? Quick opinion, yes, he is. I 100% believe that he's using magic. Now, what does that exactly mean? Is he like pulling a rabbit out of his hat? No. Is he cheating? No. Everybody has access to the magic that he's using. What he's doing, he's calling forth the spirit that moves him, whichever that is. Of course, those will be your ancestors, but it also may be the spirit of a forest where you work out. It may be the spirit of a country where you live. It may be the spirit of the food you consume, everything that you consume, the videos, the air. Everything has spirit because everything has vibration. Everything is frequency. The smells, the colors, the sounds, the textures, everything is frequency. And he is pulling from that, even if he doesn't know. Now, one thing that he does constantly is he says the word chama. Now, chama means in Portuguese to call upon, like chama o meu irmão, call my brother. Or chama also means flame. So these are homonymous words. Chama is a verb, to call, but it also means flame. Now, that's very powerful words. Whether he's using it, thinking it of flame, which is full of spirit, is fire, something that exists here on earth, something that is quite mystical by itself. Everybody has stood by a flame and just stared at it and be mesmerized by it. And at the same time, chama means to call something. Now, what is he calling? I believe when he's saying chama, he's saying call it. Call what? Call the spirit. And he does this during practice. He does this during interviews. He does this during press conferences. He does this during fighting, before he fights. In between rounds, he's constantly saying chama. And words have power. When you put a sound with an intention into the world, into reality, you are now affecting the universe around you. You are interacting with everything that is around you. And that can be also the spiritual world, everything that is beyond the 3D world, everything that you are not able to see, your visual frequency range, your auditory range, everything that is beyond that. And it's playing with all the dimensions of the universe. And you have to understand, it's not what the word is that influences the spirit around it, or that influences the frequency and the energy around it. Is the intention you put into it. You notice it with dogs, that when you make a happy sound, so you can call them names, like saying, "You little ugly dog," and the dog will be happy because what he's feeling is your intention. He's not feeling the meaning of the word ugly. So this is an extremely beautiful example of the power of intention and the power of words when you put an intention into them. He had an opponent, Adesanya. And Adesanya understood. He had a fight with Alex Pereira. He lost. It was his second loss on his record. He lost his belt to Alex Pereira. And Israel Adesanya, in the rematch, decided to fight magic with magic, spirit with spirit. He called upon his spirit, his African ancestors. He wore a necklace that was symbolizing the unleashing of the dog inside of him. He got a lot of criticism because he was treating himself like a dog. But hey, we all have a dog inside of us. We all have a dog in the fight. And he had a dog in that fight. That was his statement. He was fighting a much bigger opponent whom he had been knocked out by or TKO'd in 2 separate occasions. So a lot at stake. And he also had this black magic instrument that you use in African traditions. I know because I'm from Africa myself, and I recognize it, is this little brush of hair that you can whip something with it. You can whip somebody with it. It's not very long. It's just this amount, so you're not gonna get a lot of whiplash effect into it. But it's made of elephant hair, so it's very strong. And he took it. He brought it to his press conference. He brought it to the preparation. He was always walking around with it. He was calling forth his African spirit. In the end, reality, or the 3D world, will go along as it will, and spirituality only has a degree of effect to it. But what is most important is that you feel empowered. So it is entirely subjective, this strength, this energy field of spirituality that's going, because you're also being influenced by the stars, by everything else, right? So you can call upon and you can call forth your spirit, but you're surrounded by way more spirits than those that you can interact with. So it's not all up to you. And there, Israel Adesanya got his revenge on the rematch and managed to overcome the challenge that was Alex Pereira. It was beautiful to watch how both of them, they put all their faith, all their belief, they called forth all their strength, internal, spiritual, mental, physical, into the fight. And it was a clash of forces. It was amazing to watch. And it's just something that I observe very much or almost 100% in all of sports, is that people have a lot of faith. The Netherlands, which is a country where I live in, is a country that is known for being quite atheistic. Nobody's into religion. But when you look at the football players come into the field, right now we have the Euros going on, Football Championship of Europe, you will notice that all the players are making a prayer as they enter the pitch. What they're doing is they're calling forth their spirit. They understand that in a game of high stakes, you need to have faith. You need to believe that the best will happen. And this will happen with any human. This is the nature of humankind. This is the nature of men. Once the stakes are risen and you feel like the task is greater than even your physical existence, you will feel the urge to look up or to look down and to call forth the spirit of the earth or the spirit of the skies, and to beg or to request for assistance, to request for additional strength. You want all those electrons that are hovering in the atmosphere from the cosmos. You want all of them to conspire for you, not against you. And thus, you have no choice but to become spiritual, or some other people call it religious, when you use signs that have been embraced and have been adopted and become part of a culture or a religion. But to be honest, it doesn't matter the sign as long as it has meaning for you. It doesn't matter the sign. What matters is that you have faith. And this is why I believe Alex Pereira is 100% using magic to defeat his opponents and to succeed in the UFC. And I commend him for it, because faith can only help. And when you are in a situation of high stakes, it's better to have it than to not have it. You are better off. I hope you liked the video. Comment and subscribe. I know this is a little bit of a controversial topic. Hope you liked it. Peace.